Okay, my personal experience on daydreaming. Alright, first I'm going to tell you like a definition of daydream. A daydream is a visionary fantasy experienced while awake, especially one of happy thoughts, hopes, or ambitions. Daydreams are usually connected to some type of emotion, but daydreams can be lazy, but it has helped professional people come up with new ideas and good ideas. I actually came up with a daydream questionnaire called the Imaginal Process Inventory, the IPI. I used it and found that daydream images vary in 3 ways: how enjoyable daydreams are, how many hope or fear-filled daydreams they have, and how deeply into the daydream they go. Okay, like I said, my personal experiences on daydreaming. I daydream a lot, and
Tim, wake up.
What? What's going on? I'm a lobster, not a mountaineer, Janet. What? Where's my turtle? Why am I vibrating? Okay, Tim, focus on the speech, okay? Focus on the speech, all right? Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you about an awesome daydream about a battle of epic proportions. Hey, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, ready.
Hey, sir.
Oh my.
Okay. Once upon a legend, in a universe far, far, far away, there dwelled a kung fu master. His name was Jimbo, but most people knew him as the Awesome Man. Jimbo was the best of the best, and we all know to be the best, you have to be the best. One day, as he was walking along the side of the road, he saw a man. His name was Shai Lung. And Shai Lung had heard of the Awesome Man, and he wanted to fight him. So, Shai Lung came up to him, and he said, let's fight! Jimbo agreed, and right away when their eyes met, they went at it. Jimbo was owning Shai Lung right away in the face. But when Shai Lung, out of the blue, said, "Look, Godzilla!" Shai Lung knew he had lost, so he ran away like a baby. Jimbo immediately jumped up super high and grabbed Godzilla's pinky, and he said one word: skadoosh. Everything then blew up, and what? Suddenly, I changed daydreams.
Are you still? I still don't know how to answer that question.
Excuse me. The dust had to be an inch deep on my desk, and a thick layer of papers was forming along the base of my trash can. Kitty wasn't much on keeping the office clean, but she made a great cup of coffee. I still remember the day when she came in looking for a job to be a secretary. She had all the requirements. She made a great cup of coffee. It's not easy being a private investigator with a name like Sam Spade, but I got all the requirements. I like babes and bullets. And I look kind of good in the trench coat. It was a slow day. The hours seemed to drag by like a New York Giants versus Brooklyn Dodgers doubleheader. I decided to get a phone. As I was leaving the office, I found myself face to face with one of the most beautiful creatures I had ever seen. Are you Spade? I never know how to answer that question. I asked her who she was and why she was here. There was plenty of other better investigators in this town. She said, "You're cheap. My husband was murdered. Kanyo Tabby. Will you take the case?" I had to think for a minute. Sure. From the way she was dressed, she looked like she was tapping big bucks. She said he worked at a university as a history teacher. So, my first stop was the city morgue. I asked the coroner if there was any items when Tabby was found. I noticed his shirt had a yellow stain on it, but I couldn't figure that out. So I decided to go to a diner. I saw Kanyo Tabby, and we had coffee. She asked me if I was on to anything, and I gave her a list of suspects. She asked me why my name was on the suspects. I told her I didn't know where I was at the night of the murder. I have no alibi. I've been trailing myself for the past 3 days. On my way out, I ran into this big goon who had fists the size of babies. Drugged me into a darkened alley and pounded me into next year. I must have been on the right trail to rate a beating from this Neanderthal. Put my jaw back in place and pointed the accusing finger at him and said that he must have a message for me. He said, "Yeah, I'm your landlord, 2 months late with the rent." I was still wondering my landlord's case in this case when I arrived at the university. I went and asked Professor O'Felix, who was in charge, about Otabi, and he told me that Otabi must have fallen asleep at the wheel when he drove off a cliff, and he had to do all the duties when his secretary left. I went back to my office, and my secretary spilled coffee all over me. Wow, that's hot. I went into my mirror and noticed a coffee stain on my shirt. Of course, it was coffee stain on Otabi's shirt. He must have been drinking coffee when he drove off the cliff. I then knew it was Kitty who was the one that left the university. And I asked her what she was doing there, and she said she left because she couldn't have Otabi, but she didn't kill him. I was stuck. I asked if she had any duties at the university, and she mentioned prescriptions. Well, I guess Otabi was an insomniac. He had to have sleeping pills to go to sleep. Well, of course, Felix was doing those duties when Kitty left. He must have murdered Otabi. He snuck the sleeping pills in Otabi's coffee cup, and while Otabi was driving, he fell asleep and drove off a cliff. Felix got arrested, and I went back to my office. Case closed. In conclusion, I daydream a lot, and just kidding. I usually daydream when I'm trying to go to sleep, when I'm trying to come up with a speech, or I don't want to listen to Mr. B. So in the end, which it is, daydreaming is both good and bad. The end.